Hello every folks, and welcome to another one of these guides on how to do Oz and Ozma with basically nothing. So same old save file here. Basically just couldn't do any shops or crafting or any of that along the way here. Most of this stuff is either from recruits or through a couple quick runs through Phorampa. Mostly just for charms and things, but either way, let's go ahead and go through this here. So as always, let's go ahead and break down the strengths and weaknesses of this team here. So, just like before, we have Oz over here. However, this time he doesn't only have his unique finisher. He actually comes in with 3 different ones. Something to actually keep in mind, by the way, is that when it comes to the Knight Commander finishers in particular, they have a unique property in that they actually don't get additional scaling for their particular element. This is basically just kind of nerfing them by 10%, and realistically, this is a mechanic that probably won't become relevant until you pick up their weapons in Code of 4 after excessive amounts of grinding and, you know, try them out for yourself. But long story short, despite the fact that this says that it's a dark element, it's technically more so neutral. Weird detail. This completely doesn't help you whatsoever. Let's move on. Anyway, so this basically means with his new finisher set, he now has access to silence, and he now has access to the ability to delete wind units. So let's go ahead and make sure not to bring any of those nearby him. Next up, we have Ozma coming in with her unique whip. So she's going to be very good versus griffins. It only says 10%, but that number can go a little wacky sometimes. So either way, Wind Griffin against Ozma, not really a thing you want to do. She also long-range counters fire units through Floodlash, and then additionally has Wrenching Coil for some physical. Now, the thing is, despite the fact that this is generally seen as the harder version between the two fights, I will say, personally, I would say that this is generally the easier of the two. Only because, if you notice quickly right here, they were covering a huge weakness of their team last time, and this time they're not. And I'm not talking about the debuffs. So, if you're curious, he's still stun-proof. I actually said this wrong last time. He's not weak to stun, he is stun-proof. Basically, just you cannot stun him, but you can fear him. But if you look at his team, they only brought 2 proper Ladicians with them. The rest of their squad is all Bakram soldiers. So, in other words, these guys are non-negotiable, but these are a nice little group of friends for you to pick up. So we can go ahead and exploit that right away. Again, always be recruiting. So first and foremost, we've got a few units on hand here. Expired Chicken, gonna do pretty good on the distraction front. Best by 1998 is probably gonna be doing pretty good on just kind of general distraction and things like that. Looking over their elements, we see that they've got a good mix of ice, water, and earth, so they're going to be covering themselves reasonably well against most things. So either way, we're going to want to bring some fire, lightning, and wind, which unfortunately, you know, Ozma actually covers. So they've actually got pretty good coverage for their weaknesses here. Either way, we're going to bring Saria along. She's got a unique line here anyway, although we are going to kind of pay attention to the fact that they've got some pretty good spellcasters here, and probably should consider bringing in swords. So we're going to go swords on her. Basically, when it comes to your kind of different weapon types that are available at this point, she comes in with either spears or swords. Spears are great for overall DPS. Swords are a far more defensive type of weapon. I'm apparently knocking stuff off my desk. Anyway, but because of the fact that we're going to have her frontlining it and recruiting, I want her to go ahead and go for the swords, possibly the poison finisher here, as well as just kind of general support until then. Now, as far as the item stock up to this point, as you can see, it's fairly limited, so we'll just go ahead and throw some quick band-aids up here, maybe an extra magic leaf, although realistically she probably doesn't need it. Maybe fear in case anybody gets feared. I don't imagine anyone's going to get leadened. One thing I will bear in mind, though, or will throw out there, if you have any strong units, if you are worried about Ozma's finisher, bear in mind that while it seems a little bit weird that you would have a Zolia Draught on you for any of your units, this isn't as simple as, hey, the throwing rock gets rid of sleep and charm. This is true, it does get rid of sleep and charm. But think about it. When your unit is charmed, what is always their first priority? If they're on low health or if they have a debuff, they will attempt to remove it. Meaning that if you keep a Zolia Draught on somebody, it will mean that they will immediately try to take care of themselves. So if you have somebody that you're worried about getting charmed, just go ahead and put a Draught on them, and it'll be a nice little helpful tool. Now, we only have a few on hand at this point, so I'm just going to throw around a few random, buffs and things here. Throwing an extra MP leaf on this guy so that I can maybe have him spamming some nukes there. Additionally, going to throw some random low-tier MP leaves on our artillery octopus over here. Maybe have him do his whole thing. Probably Brand of the Sacrifice, because I don't feel too bad about bringing him in to weaken someone. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and put that on our other guy. Actually, no, he's going to be a pretty good unit to approach Oz with. So the thing is, when it comes to Brands of the Sacrifice and stuff like that, defensive stuff is a lot more potent than offensive stuff. So, for example, Brand of the Sacrifice, I believe it's been confirmed at this point that it reduces the kind of overhead attack by 15 to 20% or so. Whereas with offense, for example, with Strengthen, you're only getting 10% this time around. However, that being said, there was also another neat thing that was confirmed that I'll get into once we start talking about cards and things. But it turns out the cards actually have diminishing returns. We're running on Risk of Rain rules this time around, which, honestly, I'm pretty happy with that. Because it was kind of assumed that they were just stacking all this stuff up, but either way. So we're going to go ahead and stack a few things here. I'm putting the last Zolia Draught on Expired Chicken just on the off chance that he somehow survives that finisher. We'll just have that on there. Anyway. And then probably True Strike, because his accuracy is going to absolutely suck, given his intentional really low levels. We're fighting uphill in this case, and I don't think I've got any Fire Archers on hand, so we don't necessarily need any of that right now. There is a 25 Archer over here. They're pretty reasonably high skilled. If I have an extra Composite Bow, then I'm going to bring them along. Let's see. Do I have an extra composite? I got a Balder. I mean, that could work, I guess. Really rather not. Who actually has the composite at this point, then? It must be... What's-her-face? Over here. Let's see. Should be this one, I believe, that's got the composite. Yes. So Sarah's got the composite. We're going to go ahead and take that off her. Like I said, I'm running a little bit low on charms at the moment on the save file, so we'll just go ahead and swap her out. We'll keep one Archer on hand just to have her there. By this point, their kind of attack ratings on their weapons start jumping pretty significantly, so against boss-type units, you really kind of want to min-max these guys if you're using them for kind of doing a bit of an upward push here. Now, normally I would say always go for crossbows whenever trying to push uphill. In this particular case, because of the fact that it's essentially only one staircase and she's not really going to be getting into the thick of it as much, I'm going to go ahead and count the composite as good enough. 7 tiles of range is pretty darn far, and she's running a double shot build anyway at this point, so might as well. So we'll throw that out there. Anything extra for you? Not so much. And then lastly, we'll go ahead and... I kind of want to change him into back into a ninja, just kind of for the hell of it. Like, he's been a berserker up to this point, but he doesn't really have any massive advantages over anything here. And it's just been kind of fun to have him as a status ninja, but, well, I think we'll do that for next part. Okay, so throw a few random items on him. Just kind of leave him as his otherwise. It's worth taking the White Knights along because they're really darn strong. We've got one heavy hitter up here. We're going to put Hobrim up front. Actually, no, we're going to keep him in the back as a bit of an offensive support. Cleric over here as a bit of a backup plan. And then, do we want to keep all the dragons? I feel like Windy Foot Snake's not going to be contributing much here. Feels like we probably could use that Benumb Ninja here, although he's getting pretty heavily countered by those ice units. So they've got long-range ice, so we maybe don't want to do that. It might be worth bringing in a second Swordmaster for additional AoE healing. Something to consider. Do I actually have any debuff casters left on this team? That's a Bird 9000. I really should have set more of this up beforehand. All things... Actually, you know what? We have a very obvious answer here. We got Voltaire. I need to have a Dragon Tamer anyway, so we go ahead and have Tame Dragon. We go ahead and have Empower Dragon. As well as Empower Beast, because I don't really have a whole lot of stuff for him to be throwing, or at least nothing that I really necessarily need him to throw. And we'll go ahead and throw that out there. I don't think there's anything even with Curse here, but we'll just go ahead and throw a few random items on him. That should be good and safe there. So, basic plan, if we were to go compare it with the map here, is that we essentially send in this guy to go deal with Oz. Oz charges forward. Denim is going to start, I believe, up there in this time. Basically, different variants of this fight have Denim starting in different locations. Either way, we pull Oz back, basically pull him towards us, break down his defenses, and then just kind of deal with his support. He's got one healer. We want to deal with that healer ASAP, but really we want to be kind of weakening Oz at the earliest opportunity. And then on the left, we have 2 recruiters, ideally. I believe I had Murden switching over to recruit, as well as that Dragon Tamer, to attempt to get any of those units on the left on our side that we can. Now, since Murden is not countering, we're going to go ahead and replace Paralysis Blade with Recruit, simply because it'll be more effective there. And there we go. We've got 3 recruiters on the team, as well as 1 Tamer. So, that is a 1,000,001 different explanations to finally address this whole situation.
Not a soul.
Not a soul? Well, that's okay. She's temporarily become soulless because it's her emo phase. Let's move on. So, quick thing on cards. So what I was saying earlier about Risk of Rain rules. Basically, your first card, it turns out, gives you a pretty significant modifier, and then every card after that actually is a diminishing amount by about a third, give or take. So, for example, I think they said it was a 1.5 times like initial attack value modifier for your first Fizz Up card, and then it became like 0.5 after that. So just kind of something to bear in mind. Now, obviously, you're not going to be doing this exact math in your head as time goes on, but this does mean that you'll have an interesting potential situation. Oh, yes. But this does potentially mean that it gives you a better idea, potentially a better appreciation of those cases where bosses will have kind of spread out stacked cards rather than going for one thing in particular. Now, while I'm just using dragons because it's what this team has on hand, you could just as easily do this with some pretty solid knights and things. One thing I should probably mention also in terms of the math of some of these exchanges, because it might seem a little bit odd to anyone, for example, more used to more kind of standard RPGs and things like that. So the logic behind the math of why you would... Oh, I'll just let her say her line because it's actually pretty spicy.
I demand vengeance for our folly.
There's a woman with flint in her voice and fire in her eyes. It would be a pity to scar.
Anyway, so he goes crazy at that point. So, yes, it was absolutely an excuse to just drink some coffee. Let's move on. So, what I was saying about these exchanges here. So there's going to be a lot of cases where you'll see where it may not necessarily seem to make sense at first glance as to why I'm taking an attack that's basically giving me back the same amount of damage that I would have inflicted. It seems like it would more or less be a direct exchange, and that's because, as I've said multiple times, in essence, the numbers are a bit of a misleading thing. Essentially, like, for example, right there, if we're attacking, like, in many cases, it's going to depend entirely on who's got support where. So, like, if I'm attacking, that basically means that we're lowering their health to some degree, and they are going to have to burn their heals earlier. Their heals are going to have to travel farther, they're going to have to act sooner, and in essence, you are kind of buying time, more so than attempting to do direct damage. Like, there was a saying from Rakes that I like to quote from a while ago that's basically the best debuff is dead. So in essence, you are essentially trying to inflict dead on things more so than trying to damage them over time. Poison is for damaging over time, everything else is just for positioning, at least in my book. So like right here, right now, our whole goal with any attacks or whatever else is simply to wear out their healing, like kind of keep them on low tier healing, not let them build up their MP. While basically building up our own momentum before hitting those stairs. So we're going to be burning some MP leaves to get some finishers going. We're going to be using some MP leaves on our recruiters to try and make sure that they've got some points on hand. And we're going to be trying to push forward with whoever we've got available here. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and probably move Denim over here. Because currently Oz is now weakened, and I see an opportunity to take this this MP recharge over here, and additionally I'm going to charge him up some further right here. Because I see an ice unit right over here, he's got a fire finisher, and there's a non-zero chance that I can hopefully maybe pick up one of those fizz up cards and land that fire finisher on that what looks like a caster over there by the red robes, meaning that we might be able to do some pretty solid numbers on him. Anyway, so we'll go ahead and once again continue charging up our units, kind of pushing our way up here. Because this is a bit of a tougher fight, I'm going to be a bit more okay with burning a lot of items. I gave a kind of crappier one to Expired Chicken here because he's going to lose them as soon as he ends up getting knocked out. But either way, that's kind of all the same here. You may notice that there is one unit that's a little bit out of place here, and that's our warrior unit over here. She's basically the only unit that's going to be operating directly off of raw power here. She just upgraded to a Balder Axe. She's got her double hit and tremendous, and I'm hoping that she might be there as just a big hammer on something.
I like that in Orman. It's not too late, you know. Surrender
I forget who she's even talking to, or who he's even talking to at this point.
House Glacius is an ancient and noble line. As
I mean, I'm
our
assuming he's talking Saria here.
worth.
He's got like a weird crush on her.
If only you fought half as well as you spoke.
I kid you not, my first time through the game, or my first time through the PSP version, was like basically it was chaos, and then I went back, and then was it neutral? And then I think my first time through was neutral. Second time through, I did chaos, because like that first neutral run I accidentally overwrote, and then she ended up having that line right before getting one shot by him. It was kind of hilarious. But anyway. So, in this particular case, though, we want to avoid kind of getting into contact with Oz here and his finishers and things before, we want to make sure that he's debuffed before we actually bother trying to engage him here. We're not going to have to commit a lot of units to engaging him, but we want to avoid getting encircled. This is why we're rushing the steps. Essentially, we're looking to block off those tiles up there where that knight's standing, and then we're hoping to deal with these guys as they come in, so as soon as they get close. So like as soon as Denim can go in and spam his fire finisher on that ice guy, that'll be a solid answer to kind of one-shotting him. And then on that caster, we might be able to just have our archer fire at that. Who knows? We'll probably have the octopus throw some rocks, maybe just close him off over there. Honestly, as long as he's out of the fight, the octopus is doing his job, so that's perfectly fine over there. Either way, right now our focus is primarily just getting everybody into position, and then we'll worry about the rest as time goes on.
How it must shame you, Saria, when all who called you friend are dead.
Okay then. Anyway, Ozma just kind of being a little bit rude, but okay. So looks like in this case we've got the Hydra charging up forward, so we're going to go ahead and make him our friend first. Again, right here, he is out of support. Longbows can fire out of counter range for monsters in a lot of cases, so it's worth taking that into consideration. In this particular case, we had a spellcraft spawn over here, so we'll go ahead and take advantage of that for the moment, just kind of put her into position to block a little bit better this way. We're going to leave Hattie probably over here. It's kind of hiding behind his low cover, so to speak. It's not like a full-on cover system, but it does block, block units from getting close, which is going to be helpful. So those guys, for the most part, are going to be staying there in their nook as long as we don't give them too much of a reason to leave. So as long as we can do that, we're all well and golden. Right here, we can go ahead and block off several of these units at once, and hopefully we can start doing something like this here. Start bullying that archer, since she will be a little bit of a problem for our tamer. Unfortunately, he is a wind element. That is something that I should have paid a little bit more attention to, but either way. And unfortunately, it's also looking like that caster is going to have a pretty solid angle on him, so we can't really go for the recruit just yet. But we're going to have him get into position over here, go for a little bit of a charge up himself. I don't know if I missed his earlier turn as far as charging his MP went, but whatever happened, he is currently a bit more charged up now. So okay, we've got some casters coming in doing their thing. We've got the stairs almost under control. Again, we're taking nice quick turns. We're not trying to cast from long range unless it's a good time to do so. Yeah, predictably, they're going after the wind guy, as they do. But okay, got a fizz up here on Gildis. He's pretty quick, so we'll be fine with that as we are. I'll probably do a little bit of a top-off heal on Voltaire. Basically, if we can let our cleric charge up as time goes on, that will benefit us very greatly. It gives us a chance to revive units if we really need to. But either way. So, we'll go ahead and take our Fire Punch on this guy. We might be able to 1-2 him with another one over here. Let's see if by any chance you've got the option to kill this guy. If you go for the Rending Gale, you just might. It's going to be just barely short, but you know what? That's fine. Okay. So, next up, conveniently, we got another fizz up on Murden. How about that? Some good numbers going on. But we need to get a few more of our units supported. I'm a little bit worried about Denim over here. We have Oz very thoroughly distracted, and that octopus will similarly be able to start harassing his healer. So we're more or less locking down 2 units with a roughly, well, relatively useless one of our own. Again, damage is damage, but being able to control things is going to be a lot more significant. Not going to be too worried about his whole situation here. Okay. I don't have any cards on Holbrim, but let's see if we can maybe do a little bit of a boosty boost here. Got 3 physical units within range, so we'll get them all nice and strengthened up here, and then we'll continue moving forward. Okay. So, unfortunately, we didn't roll the Aqua Veil. That would have been very convenient there, but that's fine. We can put him into position to pick up this Fizz card, and he can go ahead and, I mean, he could go after this one. That's all well and good, but he can also finish off this one. Shame to waste an entire attack on 1 health, but you know what? That unit's now out of the picture, and let's continue on. Alright, so that right there is why Ozma is a bit scary. She will end up nuking you from far away. And currently, on this save, we don't have any items to directly assist with that, so we're going to have to find another way to deal with it. Alright, we do have a heal on Denim, and this is why we want to let our Cleric kind of not take turns as much as possible, just kind of let him rest and recuperate, as it were. Ideally, we'll have that Hydra on our team within a few turns, but for the time being, we need to focus on closing up this gap over here. So we're going to have you go ahead and focus on this way. Throw out a poison if you can. There we go. Nice poison on her. Maybe save the recruit for later. At this point, the odds of that recruit are fairly low. So there we go. We now have our units in position to almost entirely block off this area. Wait, does he have Rampador, or did I forget? He does not have Rampador. Okay, that's a little bit problematic, but whatever, we'll deal with it. So, let's see if you by any chance have a firing line on this one. You do not, but you do have a firing line on this one. So go ahead and make that happen, and there we go. That tile is a little bit more blocked off. Either way, they have to be very close to get anyone else through. So we'll now continue going on this way. He's got a lot of points to his name. And we're going to go ahead and temporarily debuff him. If we end up recruiting him using that, that would be ideal. Yeah, unfortunately that ended up critting, so it knocked him away. Oh well, we'll deal with that as time permits. Currently that, the pile of calamari over there is kind of just sitting there doing his thing. Okay, so we're going to want to get just, yeah, there we go. We're just at firing range here. Get a couple of shots over on this guy. Now, in this case, he did end up getting a counter. Like, sometimes when it comes to those counter effects, it's a little bit kind of hit or miss, but either way, it's not a significant issue in this particular case. Okay, so now we see that we're currently Rampardored by that knight, so he's going to be blocking us off from moving this tile right here. We might as well go for the attack on this guy. He doesn't have his Fearful right now. Unfortunately, that would actually cause it to be activated next turn. So actually, better attack over here would be against this guy, because he's currently weakened. She gets her secondary finisher. And let's go ahead and activate her double impact. There we go. Okay, so she's set up, hopefully, for a good attack next round. I really should have brought something like a, like maybe a Lightning Knight or something to sponge the attack from that Terror Knight. So if you have something that a Terror Knight finds particularly tempting, usually something with basically having no use for their kind of offensive stats, sometimes it's particularly handy to have that near the Terror Knight. I guess technically our Frozen Chicken guy is doing that job, so honestly, whatever. We'll pretend that's intentional and move on. Okay, so this guy, we can get a stun effect. He's going to do negligible damage on the way back. We are still currently within the Chapter 3 window here, wherein those attacks coming in from the White Knights are going to be a pretty massive deal. So there we go. We'll go ahead and punch you. Alright. We're going to go for a few more big hits over there, get our velocity shift going. And let's see. He's not going to be in a terribly good position to do too much here, but we can use this fruit to then make sure that Doris doesn't get KO'd right now. And also would be able to set her up for some better finishers down the line. Now, it is a fairly expensive item to waste on that kind of thing, but it'll do fine for now. We're going to get Murden into position here, and then furthermore we're going to get I'm probably picking up one of these, do we want a crit card on him? That could be handy. I mean, we're going to pick up a Fizz card on him for now. Just try to get him out of range to some degree, because he's starting to get into the danger zone here. Lots of stun spreading around from that counterblade. Big damage coming out of the Floodlash there. She can one-shot sometimes if she has an elemental advantage. Again, if you have seen those cases where a unit is one-shotting somebody, 9 times out of 10, it is an elemental advantage. She cannot do that to just anyone. She could do that to Saria, because she's a fire unit. Okay, so now we attempt to go for this dragon. We can't go for the finisher this time around, because we won't have the points for it. So let's go ahead and go for the tame, and if we can get this guy, I would love to have Hydra on this team, but he's currently a no on that front. Okay, so now we throw out another attack here. She can be leadened. That actually could be pretty handy. Now, if we go this way, that basically guarantees that there's no healing coming down here, so we might as well go for that. We got the double leaden. That's going to slow them down pretty significantly. And we can go ahead and get our cleric moving into position to get Saria back on her feet. He's going to go ahead and go for the either the heal or the charm, depending on his odds here. So this guy's turn isn't coming anytime soon. We're just going to go ahead and go for the basic heal on himself. He should still be out of kill range for that archer. So for the moment, we're just going to know that the healing is going to go that way. There's usually a pretty good chance that they'll immediately follow that up with running backwards. So that's good to have there. Let's see, we can do a 430 on this guy. Kind of feeling like getting rid of their archer might be the better play here. Like, I'd love to get rid of that Terra Knight, but I can't reach him at the moment. Actually, if we can maybe go after this one. Yeah, if we go finisher on this guy, which, by the way, if you're going to do the same damage anyway, unless you need the elemental coverage, go for the Sonic Blade. It is slightly faster than the other one. Okay, so he's got a preempt on this guy. He might see the kill here. So, okay, he doesn't have anything better to do. We're going to go for that. So he's got the preempt active. If this guy decides to attack him, he's dead. So that'll do nicely. She's got the double active. We'll also activate the Mighty at this point and see if we can't annihilate something, like, for example, this archer over here that's giving us a bunch of trouble. There we go. Wait, didn't I? I thought I activated her double last time. That's weird. Oh well, apparently I didn't. I was sure I did, but apparently I must have double activated Tremendous, or Mighty, whatever. These things happen. Again, Oz has several kills available, but he just cannot help himself. He simply must go for that elemental advantage. Okay. So we're going to take a few shots. Hopefully Volterra has another turn coming up relatively soon. As she does, it would be nice if he could be sped up a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, I feel like we kind of want a chance to get that archer, but unfortunately we can't at the moment. Now, what we can do, though, is possibly drop a poison on this guy, because he is not immune to poison. So if we can land one on him, fantastic. Either way, the White Knights are going to do pretty solid numbers versus them. He has not rolled his Berserk, unfortunately. But what we can do is eliminate his healer. So there we go. Or almost eliminate the healer. Apparently they actually can take that one. I really should have checked before attacking. Okay. So we've got our Eagle active. That's a 43 on that. That's not quite going to be enough. I'm not seeing any advantages immediately. So we've got a 73 there. I mean, I guess she does have an advantage against this one. Whatever. Just might as well take the Plink. I mean, it's not a full Plink, but whatever. It's plinky enough. Okay. Unfortunate crit there, but that's fine. Okay, so far we're doing pretty okay. We're getting their numbers down, we're getting our positions set up, we're not getting encircled, and hopefully we're getting a new Hydra friend pretty soon. Alright, you can now hopefully completely close off that gap so that they no longer have free movement on us, and additionally I can bully that, that healer up there a little bit. There we go, so now that area is entirely closed off. Unfortunately, this guy is being a bit of a pain, so we'll go ahead and move him real quick so that we can go have another chat with our dragon. Come here, buddy. It's 2%, but you know you want to do it. That would have been impressive. Okay. So we've got this guy. He's got an opportunity to both pick up a skill card as well as get that resurrect going. Unfortunately, that's going to be just out of range, so I guess no skill card for you, Mr. Hattie Man, because I do want her up ASAP to either recruit or kill that that scary knight. All right. So she does have points. Come on, recruit this dude. Do it. Ah, well, that's a shame. Anyway. She's barely going to make it out of that one. They got the cleric coming up. They're going for the major heal. We do have our zombie flyer coming up pretty soon here. But either way. Alright, so now that we've got our sponge back into position, we can go ahead and continue having him collect his fizz-up cards. He's going to move over here. There we go. He tried to attack Hobrim, who decided that he was having none of that, and decided to kill him instead. He's a very good no-you kind of unit, at least at this point in the game. Alright, so now we'll also get rid of this knight, so that is 2 more of their frontliners deleted. We'll have to do something about getting some of our other units up here at some point, but still, once again, we are maintaining control, we're doing okay, and I'd like to see a bit more healing coming out here, so we'll go ahead and Harvest Dance. He currently does not appear to have his preamp active, so we'll go ahead and hide him in this corner real quick. These little nooks right here don't come up very often, but they are very handy for hiding your units. Yes, yes, get out of here, Oz. We will deal with your currently still living situation in a moment.
Pain and agony.
Yes, yes. Much pain. Much pain. Because he ended up hitting a Dragon Scale unit. Again, he simply cannot help himself. Alright. Next up, we have our recruit on Murden, 12%. See if we can maybe improve that a little bit. Oh, that should improve right to death. Okay, so try to improve or die. That's currently the deal. Okay, well, you didn't want to join. Have a nice day. Moving right along. See, like, recruits are one of those things that you can do very quickly, and you can pretty much spam constantly. Like, they're a cheap move, they're a very effective move. They were already very strong in the previous version, but in this one, man, because they got their cost dropped so significantly, it's not even a contest sometimes. Like, just spam it all the time. Okay, and now we've got our zombie back. Does zombie have anything good to do here? Let's see. We've potentially got some support that he can do down this way. Like, he could be tempted into getting an Oz attack if he goes this direction, which might be worthwhile. Actually, an HP card. I will not say no to that. Or will I? I think I kind of want to say no to that, actually. Okay. So here is the plan, I'm thinking. We move him right here, and then we have him sit and wait a moment. Reason being, wherever they are on the map, they should be able to target him with their missile abilities, so they probably shouldn't attempt to do anything else. Alright, I think if we take a Tremendous over here, we can take a nice little chunk out of our Dragon Tamer friend over here. There we go. Leave you right over there, just right on the outskirts where you should be. I'm going to take a Tail Lash.
What have you done with my father?
You probably don't want to know. Okay, so he still has not rolled his Berserk, which is fine, I suppose, but I want him to... Do I really want him to set up for the one-shot? Let's see something here. 62... He needs his Berserk to roll. Once his Berserk rolls and he combos that into the Sanguine, I mean, he basically can just delete Oz at that point. Like, this won't do too much extra, but either way. That's not too bad. This should prevent him, hopefully, from getting tapped by anything that's out here. Yeah, there we go. He's just going to go for that instead. Rude. Very rude. Very upset about that, sir. Because I need my pet Hydra. I'm not leaving here without a pet Hydra. That's the thing. You gotta have secondary objectives sometimes, you know? Alright. So you are currently fine where you are. I'm actually just going to go ahead and have you kind of heal yourself and proceed forward here a little bit. We do have other units that we need to be raising back, but at the moment we'll be okay. You go over here, proceed with more AoE healing. Again, there's a lot of different ways that you can do this, but hopefully this is at least giving some ideas on how to constantly be teamworking people. It would have been nice to have another Terror Knight back, but unfortunately, it just wasn't meant to be. Actually, wait. once again, I cannot do that because I need my dude back. Actually, I can collect this skill card right over here. We'll get our unit back. She can go ahead and hopefully slap something, and then we'll proceed from there. This fight would have gone so differently if I hadn't activated the same skill twice. Okay. So, 148 is acceptable, but you also can probably do a decent bit more work up here. There we go. Nice little added benefit of congregating your units in one place is that while you are potentially setting them up to get smushed by, you know, AoE attacks and things like that, you are potentially also making it very easy for them to recover out of things. Okay, so now we should be able to... Yeah, we can't quite do the rending or anything like that quite yet. Alright, take a nice big attack on her. Go for the recruit, as you do. Come on, you know you want to do it. There we go. And now we have effectively dealt, what is it, 400 plus damage with an kind of offhand skill here. Okay, is Sonic going to be enough to end you as a problem? Almost. Whatever, it's worth going for at this point. He's not close enough to assist in the other problems we have on hand right now. You, on the other hand, are on hand to drop a nice happy AoE over here, potentially lead an Ozma, and continue pushing them back. So the thing with your heavies, sometimes it's worth taking attacks that don't seem to be doing very much just to push other units backwards. Anyway, we'll go ahead and do a little bit of item support with our new friend here. Go ahead and heal up our dragon a little bit. Does she have Empowered Dragon? She probably should, because they had dragons on their team. So there we go. And like I said, right there, right in the open, we have our bait units baiting out their big attacks. Unfortunately, they ended up taking out our cleric in the process, but that's fine. We've got backup plans for this. Usually, you would simply use something along the lines of your basic recovery moves, but in this case, I suppose our hand is being forced a little bit if we want to make this come out looking clean. So there we go. So next up, let's see, how big is your recovery range? 3, so if we move him over there, we should be able to get him up, get that dragon on our team, and then if this works out as nicely as I hope it will, we should hopefully be able to get this guy, have the dragon kill Oz, and then proceed out of this situation looking very squeaky clean. But we'll see how that plays out. So as long as no crits, that's the first thing. So there we go, no crits, that's nice. Next up, 8%. How does that feel, sir? How would you like to join us on 8%? He did not feel it. That's all right. We move on, we deal. We're just going to take that, you know, emotional heartbreak and proceed on here. So we need more AoE heals, so why don't we move you over this direction? I know that to some degree there's definitely going to be a little bit of a question with regards to all this stuff in terms of like why exactly I rated Swordmaster so low and yet keep using them to pretty great effect over the course of this this little series here. And simply put, it's just a matter of the situation at hand. Like right here, like for these castle fights in particular, Habrim is just really solid, but then after that, once everybody starts artillerying around the map and whatever else, and you need to scatter around your units more, you just kind of start running out of those opportunities to really make use of that kind of heal. Like at this point, it's just enough to usually keep them within range. And a bit of an unfortunate time there to see Ozma brought back to a pretty high chunk of his health, but either way, again, we still have plans for this, so we'll make it work. Okay, so, as it stands, let's see, you've got that right there. That's not a very good trade. We're not going to trade him that way, but we are going to go over this way. We are going to attempt to get this Hallowing Stone over where it needs to go, or, yeah, no, we're just going to go ahead and do that, because there's a chance that this allows him to get rid of all of that healing they just did by using that crit and the fizz together, in order to hopefully get hopefully get our healing guy back. Oh well, all things to look into as time goes on. In the meantime, though, I've kind of had it with this caster's crap at this point, so just go ahead and deal with that if you could. Get rid of a lot of their health right there. Let's see, healing-wise, I mean, he could use a little bit of healing. I feel like right now, Gildas is really the main one I want to be saving, although it would be nice to have Voltaire. Yeah, let's go ahead and save Voltaire for the moment. Additionally, we want to push these guys back a little bit more, so we'll go ahead and go right here. But at the same time, let's see. Can you, by any chance, hit this one with a rock? You sure can. Okay, fantastic. And it's just enough. So that'll do great right there. I'm sick of their AoEs going around crunching things. It's just not a good time for us, so we'll do that. We get the Vile Wound here. He can't counter when he's being vitally wounded, and right there we see a nice little hop over the octopus here. I definitely have not shown the beast units their full effect over the course of this run, but it's just fun to see those cases where they're being used as pedestals and things. Like, technically speaking, if we had the jump boosting items and things like that, we could travel around the right side there and just hop up the wall. It's just fun, you know. Okay, so unfortunately we did see a few units get dropped there, but let's go ahead and move on this way, have him pick up this skill card, and we'll have him get our healing guy back up on his feet. That will prevent us from having any bleed outs. We still effectively have not lost enough of our overall kind of combat potential here to really be kind of threatened, as it were. Does this guy have a crit? He does not have a crit on hand. Hopefully this will be enough. We're kind of starting to miss out on the option to recruit this very loyal Hydra here. Unfortunately, but it is what it is, you know. Let's see, he's got the blessing going. Why don't you, for the moment, go ahead and kind of dump heal Mr. Voltaire over here. Pick up this card. This should pretty much guarantee meditate going forward. He should be getting a really large amount of MP going forward, and it's mostly just going to be bosses that are left at this point. So we'll take another chunk off of this guy. Hopefully he'll decide to stop being loyal to this currently dying team. But anyway, let's move on ahead here. So we've got this cleric that we now want to deal with, and currently there's a bunch of units in the way, so we can just pop, and there we go. So that's the funny thing with beast units. Like, they scale particularly well, since most of their attacks are very inbuilt. They scale particularly well with things like finishers, or not with finishers, but with fizz cards and things. Out of curiosity, let's see, 139. I should be able to sanguine that. How much is that going to look like? That feels like it might potentially do more, especially, do I still have pincer on you? Oh, that would have been a really good nice time to have pincer. Oh well, whatever. We'll just, I suppose we'll just go for the rapid strike here. He can't be stunned, I know, but whatever. It sounds cooler. And then we'll go ahead and velocity shift, and now we should be able to finish off Oz almost. Do you still have pincer? No, it's the one time I decided to take off pincer. Okay, cool. Anyway, so great decisions aside, let's go ahead and... Actually, we might have a way to finish him after all. Alright, take a very skewed trade right here. I was really hoping that might potentially parry, but it didn't. So take a nice skewed trade right there. Pick up our crit card, and then we start moving on that way. Ah, darn. Okay, I was kind of hoping that would be just enough to have her go and do a little bit of business against Oz there, but he's going to barely survive that. We're going to give this cleric the choice of saving herself or her extraordinarily abusive boss, but we'll see how that choice ends up panning out. He's going to go for that one. And hopefully we'll finally be able to recruit that Hydra. I really would like to see them on our team. But, oh well. Unfortunately, that dude ends up getting knocked down, but because this is a bit of a big fight, I think we're going to turn out just fine here. We're going to go pick up one more card on our artillery, and we'll go ahead and drop a nice happy 300 on you. I believe he was boosted last time, that's why he was getting that 500. And unfortunately, that was the last unit that actually could be recruited, so oh well. Let's see. He's got 10 health left. If I knock him backwards, that... Wait a minute. He can't have pincer. Okay, I was going to say, if he has pincer, that might be very interesting, but no. Currently, he is just a sponge. He's just a good little sponge. So let's go ahead and prevent Ozma from moving forward here. We're starting to see some bleed-out timers counting down. But as it stands, we're still kind of golden here, but I can't have this guy travel around too much. Yeah, we should have Oz cleared up in just a moment here. We might have our... let's see, can we get away with a 2? Because if we use a 2 right now, we should have our Beast Tamer able to just freely keep attempting to recruit this guy the whole rest of the fight. Realistically, as long as we win the fight, I don't care if we sacrifice practically everybody else in order to pick up this Hydra. I really want a Hydra. It's not like they're a super amazing unit or whatever. It's just, I want a Hydra. Technically speaking, we would be able to finish Oz here if we were within range. Slumber Shot is also, yeah, would basically be the same deal. Although, if she... Wait a minute, she can finish Oz right here, because he's got 10 health. So, fun thing, the secondary knockback hit will pretty much always be 10. So, he's not death-proof, so he can be knocked back, so... Oh, he's going to get knocked back in that direction. Fine, fine, whatever. That's just how it's going to be, whatever. Bye. So he's gone now, and unfortunately he was in the way, so we can't quite recruit our dragon just yet. Friggin' guy's a bit of an ass, to be honest. Just getting in our way the whole time. Okay. But he's gonna go ahead and heal himself up right here. We're gonna have the zombies more or less kind of trap Ozma over here while we get the team back up to scratch. There's realistically nothing she can do to permanently kill off these guys, and we can basically trap her up there forever in just a moment here. So I would really like to make sure that A, we get Denim back on his feet with the cleric. We go ahead and probably get our zombies kind of blocking off her available escape tiles. Let's see. I'll just block her right here for the moment. Yeah, there's nothing for this unit to do in particular. We're going to move her out of the way so that hopefully she doesn't get targeted. I'm not terribly attached to them, but kind of just in case, you know. Alright, 14%. What about if we just shield bash? Because honestly, it's not going to be too much better than this. So just, there we go, shield bash. Come on, 16%. You know you want to join. One of these days, you will join. I don't care what it takes. Everybody else is replaceable. Okay. So we don't want her escaping. So what we're going to do is we're going to put you right here, and then ideally I want to see two kind of Rampart Aura units on either side of that pillar. And then at that point, she basically wouldn't be able to do anything. So you go ahead and sit right there. I know I can have at least Murden moving forward. So, okay. He's got 100. And he's going to be able to recharge his MP by the time we get anybody else up. We need Gildas going and blocking off some tiles. Because he can actually block those tiles from where he is, I believe. He should be able to move 4 tiles, in which case he should be able to just block her movement. Yes, if he... Did he bring Rampart? He did. Okay. Now, unfortunately, that's going to block it right there. I wanted to block that tile right there, but... whatever. Move you to that direction. Move you over here. Now, do you... Let's see. It's not going to tell me his effect range for his Rampart here, because he does still have it, doesn't he? Yes, he does. It's not going to tell me his effective range here. Because ideally, what I'm hoping will happen is that it basically counts as blocking this thing invisibly. Like right there, you can see it's blocking the tile that has the fire on it. So she would only have the option to move backwards. So either way, it's just one of those weird little tricks you can do. Okay, next up, let's see about sniping you some more. Maybe you'll feel cooperative one of these days. Yeah, Archer's probably bleeding out. Octopus is gonna get on that job of blocking his relevant tiles. Archer's probably bleeding out. Octopus is the one that's gonna be blocking tiles. This Beast Tamer is gonna go over here just until I can do something more useful with her. Let's see, we've got a lot of potential ice nukes coming out of her. That's a problem, but we'll deal with it. Now, in this case, even though Murden is the one that's lower, I'm going to heal up Gildas, because reasonably speaking, if the AI is capable of taking a move in which they'll fully end up kind of doing more damage rather than going for a kill, most times they will. Unfortunately, we might lose Saria in this whole process, actually, looking at it. Yeah, I don't think we have any more recovery items. Oh well. Such is life, I suppose. Either way, I'm getting me a Hydra. I'm getting my dang Hydra. That's just how it's going to be. Let's see. Because we have the dragon we can't save. Actually, Healer Guy's got a couple turns in him, so... if we just put him right here. Let's go ahead and pick up a skill card just so he does a little bit more stuff with his MP. I mean, I guess we kind of gotta spend all our time going to get Denim up, don't we? Might be a little bit of a, at least minor priority. So this is going to cost us 30. He's going to get 38 back next round more than likely, because I believe it's 25% plus 30, so we should be seeing 85% odds of that thing to trigger. Okay, now please go ahead and join finally. Yes? There we go. Now we can go ahead and end the fight. Jeez, took long enough. Alright. So now we can go ahead and start dropping whatever damage we can on Ozma. She's going to do quite a bit there, but we can potentially stun her with this. She's probably going to go attack the zombie instead of him, so we'll go ahead and do that there. We're going to get our octopus up to snuff here. Hobram and Saria are looking like they want to bleed out pretty soon here, which is not ideal. Neither darn way. Let's move this guy over here, see if she wants to target him as well. Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, I suppose that's an option too. That's unfortunate. Where beggars die, there are no comets to be seen. Interesting. Not 100% sure what that means, but whatever you say. Okay, so we can leaden on her to slow her down, and then we start seeing the montage of death over here on these staircases. Now, I would say, ideally, if you're looking to get into this fight and you're thinking, well, man, I don't really want to see all of my units dying off, what I typically would recommend is not focusing so hard on getting a Hydra. But, you know what? Everyone's going to play their own way, and that's just how I like to play, so it is what it is. Got plenty of replacements anyway. So, let's see. Like, the way I see it, if you lose a unit, it's just kind of an interesting opportunity to do something more potentially interesting with a different unit later. Maybe don't set her up for more avalanches here, because that's probably what happens. So they just saw a big opportunity and decided to go for it. Well, not 0 odds. Not great odds either. But either way, we'll go ahead and get Denim back on his feet here. I mean, I could chance it. No, I can't. I don't have the time to chance it. Okay. So we're going to see a couple deaths here. That's fine. We've got PvP King to replace Hobram over there. He was basically being used because he came stocked with the abilities that were needed. And Saria is another Rune Fencer for the pile. I've got quite a few of them. Alright, so you go right there. Thankfully, nobody can get rid of my my octopus, so the important stuff remains. Actually, wait a minute. You can pick up a crit card. That sounds like a good plan to me. And in fact, if you end up critting, that's potentially 10 damage. I mean, she can yell for 100 somehow. Yes, yes, Francis. We literally barely knew you. Well, now you're very free, so you're welcome. This was a great decision. I forget why you even came along this time. Alright. So, she's gonna do that, apparently. Sure. I mean, you got... There's...
I've taken his head before I went. But alas, we can't always get what we want.
He's very calm with that death line, I gotta say. Okay. Next up, let's go ahead and... Does she have a tremendous active or just Eagle? Just Eagle. Alright. Just go ahead and conserve your points for now. Get a little bit of a poison breath type situation going on her, because she can be poisoned. There we go. We'll do a pretty solid number there. Ooh, thank you for all of your stuff there, Hobram. You're very useful for the gear that you brought to the table. Okay. Also, Expired Chicken should now be able to further re-up that. Actually, why would he be able to re-up it? Of course he can't. Do 2 damage! Haha. His stats are abysmally low right now. Alright. Throw some rocks, I suppose. There we go. Those guys are gonna... Why? Well, because I kind of put you there, and also because of reasons. That's why. Alright. Next up... Yeah, let's just have you move to a place that won't cause a AoE to happen. So there we go. Oh, I didn't realize we were actually up to Meditate 4 already. That's fantastic. Alright, in that case, go here, make Denim re-alive himself again. Do that. It's like, realistically, once you get access to Resurrection, you can just kind of do this all the time. Alright. Move you forward, kind of bunch everybody up. Can't make everybody bleed out at once, you know. I mean, she'll take out the Hydra. Again, this will be a success as long as we don't lose that Hydra. That's the thing. That's the important part here. It's good to keep perspective of the important stuff. If you've got fire units, like, honestly, Saria's whole purpose here was to try to make sure that she used her fire powers, but oh well. I guess we don't have a fire counter for her right now, except for with Denim, who is currently way off on the other end of the map. But hey, you know, suboptimal things happen. She can at least do 54 before getting completely annihilated. There we go, even did a counter, so that'll do nicely. Wait, did she get rid of her poison? I must have missed that. How the hell did she get rid of her poison? That would be an important thing to maybe get back on her, in fact. Because that was kind of a big chunk of the damage we were waiting on. I totally missed that. Oh well. Do more of this. Oh, by the way, another weird misunderstanding I saw the other day. So, those modifiers on the bottom right where it shows, you know, a crosshair and then melee and ranged, those are not damage modifiers. Those are accuracy. I'm not really sure why that misunderstanding happened, because, you know, crosshair. But, just, you know, just so you know. Alright, so what's she gonna do? Go for that? That actually works out very nicely, because now we have a fire finisher that's all nice and loaded, and we'll go ahead and drop that right here. So, 87 from that angle. That's not a terribly good angle, but we can go ahead and drop that from over here. And now we should be all ready to go ahead and wrap this up next round. So, dude guy is over here. He's going to go ahead and meditate a little bit. He's a little bit shy of being able to fully finish it. In fact, we'll go ahead and... I was going to have him go and do a little bit of more healing or whatever else, but we'll go ahead and get Denim back on his feet entirely. We'll see if... Yeah, Aquavale doesn't get the option to just stay there. So we'll just have him sit here waiting for Aquavale to turn back on. And yeah, why don't you go ahead and drop a finisher on her, see if that's actually enough. Yeah, it actually will be right there. Fantastic.
Glory to House Glacius.
Yep. So anyway, that is how you do that with, like, friggin' bottom-of-the-barrel garbage. Again, if you're looking to maybe save more of your people, really the answer to that is just have more knights on the team. So just in general, like with knights and healing and things like that, oftentimes it's misunderstood, like, why would you use clerics and knights at the same place? A heal source is a heal source, but not really. So, like, obviously everyone can only do one thing at one time, and the dedicated healer is going to be able to heal better. So, for all intents and purposes, your kind of back-end triage kind of situation should be your cleric. Let's see. There we go. Sounds good to me. So say hello to Hungry Snake. I probably could have just made it Snake by not having a space in there. Whatever. Good enough. Oh yeah, you survived. What's your stat situation? Vit Dex Int? I mean, I don't know what else that you're going to name a unit that's somehow flexible, smart, and durable, but there you go. Say hello to Flex Head Meat. Oh wait, it was supposed to be Head Meat, not Head. Screw it. Whatever.
Why did she go with them? What could she be thinking?
I mean, to be fair, she probably played a pretty safe bet on that. It's like, oh, these guys over here are so cheap, they refuse to even do anything.
Shall redeem thee of thy worldly sins, even as it washes clean thine eternal soul.
Let me go! Please! Don't kill me!
And then they did. Alright, so, next, that would be the end of Chapter 3, and then we get into Chapter 4 and all of that kind of business, and there we go. Funny note, by the way, as far as random copyright claims on these things, they only ever seem to come in whenever the intro music for the PSP or SNES version are played, or for the chapter change music for the PSP version. Why only there? I don't know, because I'm sure they put way more money into the Reborn version of that soundtrack, but yeah, apparently they just sort of missed that up till now. Any darn ways. Okay, so let's see over here. We're gonna get into the negotiation scene, and I suppose really it's gonna be probably Barnisha is gonna be our next thing here. as far as how to blobbity blah with basically trash. But yeah, obviously, if you're looking for a no cap type situation, just block off that staircase, take it slow, and bring a couple zombie units to plug up the gap, and realistically, they won't be able to move very far. This is when you get access to Steadfast, or at least pretty close to here. So you're not going to have access to Steadfast just yet. But yeah, obviously just block off the staircase. That blocks off most of their movement there. Use Recruit as often as possible. I mean, honestly, the Recruit odds are usually pretty okay. Seeing that many 30% on a roll fail, like, despite the fact that it is more likely than not to succeed, or more likely to fail than succeed, realistically, 30% is not bad at all. Again, anyone who's ever played Knight of Lotus and tried to get an early witch can attest to this. But generally speaking, those percentages are really pretty okay. Yeah, so hopefully this was helpful to some degree as far as how to handle that fight. Like, again, just focus on keeping the healers suppressed more than outright dead. As long as you're keeping some pressure on, they should be able to handle it just fine. Don't bother attacking the heavies, and unless you have enough units on hand to fully smush them. Try to recruit the Hydra and the Terror Knight if you can, because those are going to be the biggest game changers on that particular map. Oz by himself has pretty sucky defense and can really easily be handled by Murden and Gildas. Just a couple finishers between them, even without a Fizz Up card, you're going to be pretty okay just seeing those two 2v1 him. They can take him no problem. If you're running Berserker Denim, the main reason I'm running Berserker Denim in this case is just because this, overall this build is fairly limited. He just runs up and hits things. If you want to get more tricky with it, there's definitely more interesting things you can do, but it's just kind of funny. Just be like, oh, what did our king do? He ran up and punched things for a couple years, and then that was kind of it. By the way, a few folks were wondering whether we'd see some other weirdness come out of this route, and obviously we're going to be doing things like Cressida and whatnot. So at this point we can go ahead and go over here and start looking at the talk section. And, well, we're not quite there yet, but pretty soon we're going to have the bit for going over to Bal Mamusa, and, yeah, starting us off on the whole Necromancer thing. Unless I totally forgot about where it is yet again. That happens pretty regularly, but... Alright, see y'all in the next one. Take care!